What's going on, everyone? It's Ben from YGO from Zero back with another Retro Yu-Gi-Oh video, and in this video I'm going to be trying to play a very off-the-wall Chaos format deck, but one that I think is very funny and sort of gets at one of the truths of this format that people have realized in hindsight. Now, the deck that I'm playing today is basically just trying to pull off the Chaos Yata Lock as much as possible. The Chaos Yata Lock, for people who don't know, is basically if you have a recruiter like Sangan or Witch of the Black Forest on field, and you bring out Chaos Emperor Dragon Envoy the End, use effect to destroy everything on the field, and deal a bunch of damage to your opponent. You can then search out Sangan or Witch, and then get the Yata using their effects, and summon a Yatagrasu, attack in, deal 200, your opponent can't draw next turn off Yata's effect, and then you'll have the game on lock. Now, in practice, this is a bit difficult because you already have to have a Sangan or Witch of the Black Forest on field, or you have to revive it from the graveyard with something like Call the Haunted, Monster Reborn, or Premature Burial. So you have to sort of put a couple different cards into it to get that set up online. And then you also have to, I mean, if you have normal summoned already, then you can bring out Yata. But if you have normal summoned, then you have to wait a turn. Your opponent can draw a card that could potentially get them out of the lock. So it's a bit complicated and not really the best. Now, one way around this is if you have Time Seal. Now, Time Seal is a normal trap, so skip the draw phase of your opponent's next turn. So if you're able to use a Time Seal, then use Chaos Emperor Dragon's effect to destroy the field. This allows you to normal summon a Sangan or Witch, and search out the Yata. Your opponent won't be able to draw next turn because of the Time Seal, and then you can bring out Yata, attack in for 200. This was an idea I came up with after seeing the topping list of the recent Chaos format tournament, and I was like, well, let's just try maxing out on Time Seals and seeing how this goes. Now, of course, the Yata Lock also does have the flaw of if your opponent has a Sinister Serpent in rotation, that does stop this strategy in its tracks. But for that reason, we also have an Injecting Fairy Lily as sort of like a backup Yatagarasu. Injecting Fairy Lily can get in for 3,400, and after a Chaos Emperor Dragon hit, that might be enough. Now, of course, Serpent can wall up the Lily, but at least you can clear the Serpent with the Lily as opposed to with Yata. So let's just go through the card by card. This is pretty much a standard list besides the Yata and the triple Time Seal. So we've got Black Leather Soldier, Envoy in the beginning, along with Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy at the end. We got Break the Magical Warrior, Triple D Warrior Lady, and One Shining Angel, and a Magician of Faith, all as our light targets for the CED. We got double Gravekeeper's Spy here as a dark target that thins out the deck a little bit. We've got Injection Fairy Lily. Again, as I mentioned, this is effectively a Yatagarasu in certain situations. We've got double Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. We've got a Sangan. We've got Tribe Infecting Virus, and we got Witch of Black Forest. I chose to cut the Sinister Serpent, or at least relegate it to the side deck, because I felt like space was really, really tight in this deck, and we really wanted things that actually did something all the time. And while Serpent is very good in a lot of situations, it just didn't quite make the cut in this build. We've also got Confiscation, Darkhold, Delinquent Duo, Graceful Charity, Mirage Nightmare, Monster Reborn, Triple Mystical Space Typhoon to pair with the Mirage Nightmare, Painful Choice, Pot of Greed, Premature Burial to bring back our Sangan or Witch. We've got Raigeki, we've got Snatch Steal, we've got Force of Sentry, and Call the Haunted. For the other traps, we've got Imperial Order, Mirror Force, Arena Destruction, the Triple Time Seal, as I mentioned, and a Torrential Tribute. You could potentially include more Torrential Tributes that could also potentially put your Yata Lock more online if you just hard draw Yata and are just trying to attack in with it regularly, as Torrential Tribute can clear the board. So this could be good to bring in potentially, especially if you're up against a more aggressive deck. Also got Sakuretsu Armor in the side deck for more aggressive decks as well. Also, we've got Triple Trap Dust Shoot in the side for if we know we're going first. We want to go all in on the hand control stuff. It can be good to sort of deprive your opponent of resources in hand, make them less able to resist the Yata Lock. We've also got Double Moment of Crossout for more flip-focused decks. We've got a Harpy's Feather Duster for more back row focused decks. Change of Heart here just to take their opponent's monster and get in with it. Archfiend Soldier in case we need a 1900 beater. Sinister Serpent. I'm not really sure when you bring this in from the side deck, maybe up against a Yata Turbo deck as well, and this can be good to bring in those cases. But I don't really think this Yata Turbo deck is that good. A bit of a spoiler alert. So you likely won't be bringing this in. And we've also got a Fiber Jar. For if we're going second, this can be good to sort of reset the board state. It kind of has anti-synergy with our Yata Lock strategy, as it does reset your opponent's hand. But, it's mainly for us if we're on the back foot after going second. For the Fusion deck, we got, a pretty standard fusion toolbox thing here. This was actually based on like Aratos' topping list from the last Chaos tournament, so this was the fusion deck that they used. There are a couple more like toolboxy cards you could include here, but it's ultimately fine, and you can check out my other videos for those. But that's going to do it for the card by card. Now, I really wanted to make this deck because, the Chaos Yata Lock is such an iconic part of this format when people look back on it. So I wanted to see if I could actually pull it off. And I think that the results will sort of speak for themselves as to the viability of the Chaos Yata Lock in Chaos format. Okay, we got our first game here against Ragged Drago, a frequent guest on the channel and a very, very good Chaos player. So we're going to be losing the rock, paper, scissors, unfortunately, so we will be going second. And let's see how we do here. So they're going to go first, and we draw a pretty good opening hand, all things considered. They are going to summon out a Kaiku, set 3, and pass back to us. That is fine. I mean, we got a bit of an interesting hand here. We are just going to start by bringing out this Comfy just to see what they're working with in hand. And they do indeed have, they're thinking about that, but they do indeed have this Imperial Order. We've got MST for the IO. That's why I felt safe making this play, and we'll clear that. So we do get to look at their hand. See, they've got a Breaker the Magic Warrior and a DD Warrior Lady there. Now, Breaker can stop both our Premature Burial and our Call of the Haunted, which is very rough. So I think I do just want to send back the Breaker. The Warrior Lady is annoying, but with the Premat, I think it's a little bit better. So we're going to send the Breaker there, and we are going to bring out Tribe. We're not going to call Prio, because if they've got like TT or something, then we can bring it back with Premat or Call. Also, if they've got Ring, we can do that as well. So we're going to not use Prio. That's going to be fine by them. We're then going to pitch this Premature Burial. I think maybe I could have pitched the MST here instead, just to sort of have a way to get back Tribe in case I needed it. But I think ultimately this is fine. They've got Mirror Force for the Tribe. But we do have this Call of the Haunted here. So, I figure I could pitch the Premat while we've got this call to bring back the Tribe. So we're going to set the MST and the Call of the Haunted here, pass back to our opponent, and they're going to fire an MST in end phase. So maybe this was a sign we could have just, like, blind MST the last back row, and then set our call without fear. But, they've got a 50-50 this, so if they get the wrong 50-50, then we're fine, which is also why I felt like more safe doing this. But unfortunately, they do hit the Call of the Haunted indeed, so it didn't quite work out for us there, but I think it was ultimately fine to do that. But now, we don't have our Revival, we've just got this MST here, so kind of unfortunate. Maybe I should have pitched the MST instead of the Premat. But this Graveyard Spy is going to be pretty good here. We're going to set that pass back to our opponent. They've got Change of Heart, though, for the Spy. That's very rough, because they can bring out a Spy of their own and get in for 2,700, so we're losing a lot of life points really quickly here. And this is just a rough time for us. We can switch the Spy to defense, but they can clear it with the DD Warrior Lady and then get in for damage with like the Spy and whatever else they might have. So I feel like I just do have to, okay, I don't actually go for the Raigeki. That's interesting. I feel like I should have gone for the Raigeki because they can just win from this position, but I guess I want them to commit something else and then attack him with the Warrior Lady. I don't know. I feel like this is a bit greedy on my part. They've got the Harpy's Feather Duster here, and they will indeed attack into the Spy with the Warrior Lady. Banish that, and then attack in directly for 1,200. I think the reason I didn't do that is because they had Chaos typing if the Warrior Lady went to grave. Yeah, that's why I did that. Still, I think it was a bit risky to do, but if they brought out like a BLS or something, I guess I was dead there anyways. So, yeah, kind of rough. I'm going to set this Time Seal, pass back to them, and they're just going to think about this a bit, fire a Monster Reborn, and that'll be the end of the game. Yeah, they didn't have a Chaos Monster in hand, so it wouldn't have mattered there if I had Raigeki'd, so I think I probably should have just Raigeki'd, but they had Reborn anyways to bring back, like, Kaiku in that case, so it wouldn't have actually mattered here, I don't think, but I think I should have just Raigeki'd instead of, playing it safe around the Chaos Monsters. But that's going to be the end of the game there. We're going to go into game 2. Hopefully we do a little bit better here. We are indeed going first, so I could have brought in the Dust Shoots, but I chose not to, as I feel like, bringing in triple Dust Shoot, it's kind of hard to pick what to bring out, besides, like, the obvious Time Seals, right? But the Time Seals are integral to this deck, so I did want to keep them in just to show off what this deck can do on its own. But yeah, I think if you're playing this deck for yourself, you can probably just side out the Time Seals. I just want to commit to the bit and see how it goes. But we're going to go for Painful here. Send 2 Darks and 3 Lights here, just to have Chaos typing in grave. If I can draw into, like, the Chaos Monster with Graceful as well, that would be pretty good. So they're going to give us the Shining Angel here. We're going to take that, and we're going to go for this Graceful Charity. So we'll draw 3, And, ooh, those are some pretty good ones. We're going to pitch a Shining Angel and a Tribe. And now we're going to set the Magician of Faith, set a time seal, and pass back to them. Oh, we're also going to set this MST. I think that's fine. Because we don't really care too much about losing this MST, and if they go for Harpies, we can time seal them. So I feel very, very confident in this position. And we've got the Magician of Faith here to get back, like, graceful. So I feel really good about this. They've got a painful switch of their own, which is unfortunate. They're going to send Harpies, Noblemen, and 3 hand rips. That's kind of rough. We're just going to give them the Harpies because, again, I don't really care if I lose this back row because we got time seal. The MST is unfortunate to lose, but ultimately it's fine. And our opponent's going to set to Fire Mirage and pass back to us. We do not have a way to deal with that Mirage, unfortunately, so they will get to draw 3 off this. It's kind of rough. We are going to think about this a bit, and we are going to, basically we're deciding whether to like grab back the Graceful or whether we want to fire Reborn first and then grab like the Reborn. Because we can Reborn our DD Warrior Lady, attack into their set, and like banish, right? But Graceful is just really good at getting card draws, so I think Graceful might be the pick here. So we're just going to flip up the Magician of Faith now, go for Graceful here, and fire the Graceful. That is indeed what we're going to do. We draw Comfy, Call, and MST, which are all pretty decent in this scenario. We're going to think about exactly what to do here. We're going to pitch the Spy and the Yata. Pitching the Spy is kind of unfortunate because then we got a dead Spy later in deck. But, like, I think it's ultimately fine given the other cards in our hand are so good. We're going to fire Comfy here, take a peek at their hand, and we see that they've got a Shining Angel, Ring of Destruction, Raigeki, and Pot of Greed. And yeah, we just got to hit the pot. I mean, we figure they probably have a way to clear the Mirage. So, yeah, we're just going to send the pot. And pot's just too strong there. Raigeki and Ring are both also good, but like we can sort of play around those a little bit. We're going to go for Reborn here, targeting this DD Warrior Lady. This sort of plays around the Raigeki in hand because we can sort of banish their set. And then just get in for 3 while still having not really a formidable board on field. Unfortunately, Graveyard Spy is going to be really annoying for us. We will take 5 and we'll choose not to banish. We could have potentially banished there, but I don't really feel the need to, especially because we do have Tribe Infecting Virus in Grave. So the idea is that we can like revive the Tribe with the Call, and they likely won't have another MST because they've got 1 MST probably for the Mirage, but then the Tribe can clear these Spies. So I feel like this is ultimately a pretty good setup. We're going to set this MST as well. They've got MST for their MST, or for their Mirage, that is. And that's going to be fine. They're going to switch this Spy to attack into our Magician of Faith there. They're going to set 1, pass back to us. We know that that set's likely the Ring, so we're just going to MST it to prevent any Ring shenanigans, and it was indeed the Ring. We draw a Dark Hole, which is also pretty decent. We could Dark Hole the board, and then potentially go for like a Lily, get in for a ton of damage. But we're just going to attack in to their Spy with the Warrior Lady and not banish. I want them to set an additional thing because we do know about the Shining Angel, which would be good to sort of get rid of. So I want them to sort of commit more to board before I go for the Dark Hole. But maybe getting aggressive would have been good. I think it's ultimately fine, though, to play it a little bit safe until we have more of a lock on the game. We draw a Ring, which is also pretty good. We're going to bring out this Injection Fairy Lily because we can attack the Warrior Lady into the Spy, then attack directly with Injection. They've got TT, though, so they will be able to clear the board there. We've got Call to bring back Witch. I feel like this is ultimately safe because I feel like they probably don't have double MST, or they would have fired the MST on our lone back row before, given how they played in game 1. But unfortunately, they do have the MST for our Call, so that's kind of rough. We're going to set this Ring here, pass back to them, and they're going to go for a Shining Angel here. They're going to attack in for 14. We could Ring it, but we'll just take it because Ring is reactive, and we've got Dark Hole to clear the Shining Angel anyways. We draw Graveyard Spy, but, you know, again, the other Spy is in Grave, so it's a bit less good for us here. We could set it as a 2k wall, but instead I just choose to Dark Hole their Shining Angel away, bring out the Spy, attack in for 12. You know, this Spy likely won't stay around for too long, but I do have Ring to protect it a little bit, and if we can just keep hitting in for damage here, that's ultimately not bad. They've got another Shining Angel here, and they'll attack in the Spy. We're just going to Ring that because Shining Angel is really annoying to get rid of, and they're going to set 1, pass back to us. We draw Mirror Force, which is pretty good. We can keep protecting the Spy. We'll attack in for 1200. Then main 2, we're just going to set the Mirror Force, pass back to them, and they've got a Reborn here to bring back, and they're going to think about exactly what to bring back. They're going to bring back our Kaiku because they know that our Call of the Haunted is gone. And they're going to attack in to the Spy. And we're just going to Mirror Force that, as Chaos Monsters are really good, and if we draw one, we want it to be online. We draw Duo, which is very dead here. But, you know, we can attack in for 12, set the Duo as a bluff at least, but unfortunately we've gone through most of our actually, like, decent traps, so there aren't really things that we can bluff here, but like it's something at least. They're going to go for Raigeki on our spy, which we did know about the Raigeki, but I'm very happy that they had to use the Raigeki on the spy there. It means that they don't really have much likely in hand. We'll set the TT, pass back to them. They've got Sangan. We could TT that, but I feel like TTing a Sangan is really bad. We are low enough that maybe it would have been worth doing that, but I feel like we can save the TT for later and just hope that we draw another way out of this. They're going to get in for 1,000. We draw Kaiku, so that's something. We can bring that out, attack into the Sangan there. That will clear the Sangan. We'll get to banish 2 cards from grave. We're going to banish the Shining Angels, as now they don't have any lights in grave. So even if they can clear the Kaiku, they can't actually bring out a Chaos Monster here. So they're going to think about exactly what to search with the Sangan. They're going to search out a Magician of Faith. That makes sense. They've got a lot of very powerful spells in grave there. And it's kind of rough for us. They're going to draw there. And they're going to set one, set another, pass back to us. We draw Premature Burial. Now, we have a couple different options here. One would just be to attack in with the Kaiku to the Magician of Faith, then duo the card out of their hand. That drops us down to 800, which is a bit risky, but like, you know, anything that we do this turn is going to be a little bit risky. We could also just go for the Premature Burial here, bringing back our Sangan, and then go for TT on the board, and then search out a monster with Sangan, summon that out attack in. That's also a very decent possibility to do. And basically, those are our 2 choices, as there are just too many powerful spells in grave that they can get back off face. So we need to have some way to deal with the Faith. We can't just let them have that Faith set. I mean, I guess we could. No, we can't let them have that Faith set. There's too many powerful spells to let them make it to their turn with that Faith. So we're going to think about exactly what to do here. And we are going to choose to go for the Premature Burial line. I do this because they've got 2 MSTs in grave. So I figure like the other MST isn't the most likely thing in the world. And this would die to, like either option for us would die to IO. And this at least is only 800 as opposed to 1,000 damage. But unfortunately they do have the MST for the Premat. And so we will indeed lose that 800. And yeah, it's kind of rough. We just have to attack in to the Faith. I mean, I guess maybe we don't have to attack into the Faith. We could just keep the Faith on board because then they might not be able to get a light engrave easily. I mean, we got Kaiku on field here either way, but if they get back like Raigeki or something to clear the Kaiku and then go for a Chaos Monster, then at least it's like a little bit better in that case. So maybe there's a bit of a misplay because I don't have actually a way to deal with the spell that they add back. But I figure just getting material off board is good. But I don't know here. This might have been a mistake. They're going to go for pot, though. They're going to fire Graceful. And, yeah, I mean, the Graceful was the draw for turn. So, honestly, I'm not really sure if this would have really mattered much anyways. They're going to try and go for a Banish here. But, you know, we've got Kaiku. Unfortunately, they've got Darkhold to clear that. So, yeah, and they will be able to bring out this BLS here. We do indeed have this TT to deal with the BLS. But they've got this breaker here, and that will be enough to win the game here. So, yeah, I think they also have this IO set. So, like, if we had gone for duo, it wouldn't have mattered here anyways. But, yeah, kind of unfortunate the way that game turned out. But, yeah, I think it was ultimately, like, I mean, it wasn't really a good showing for the deck. But it does show how the deck can struggle against a more, like, standard Chaos build. Because, like, you know, game 1 we drew Time Seal when Time Seal was not a good card for us there. And like going all in on this sort of strategy can be fun, but also it's not really as competitive as like a regular mainstream build. But that's against like a sort of tier 1, you know, regular consistent build of the deck. Let's show off what this deck can do against maybe some more rogue decks and see if it actually performs a little bit better. Okay, we're going to go into a game with Soul65, a frequent guest of the channel. Always a pleasure to have them on. We unfortunately lose Rock, Paper, Scissors again, so we will be going second here. Our opponent is going to... What are they going to do? This is a great opening hand for us, by the way. We have Duo in the opener, which is pretty good. We can go for Skilled White Magician and go for Pot of Greed. Now, if you've seen Soul on this channel before, you know that they do play these sorts of fun, like Skilled White Magician, Skilled Dark Magician reasoning decks. So it's not really the most meta thing in the world, but it is a fun sort of strategy. And we actually draw MST, which is really, really good here. We're going to MST their back route. Now, if it was IO, that would be unfortunate, as our MST would basically not be able to resolve here. But then that would mean that we'd be clear to go for our Kaiku in over the Skilled White Magician. And so I'd be fine with that outcome either way. Luckily for us, it's just an MST, so now we can do a pretty fun play. We can go for a Duo here, hopefully hitting a monster out of hand, and then we'll hit a Dark Magician. They're going to pitch a Warrior Returning Alive, but even if they had pitched a Serpent, that would have been actually really good for us, as we've got this Kaiku here, so we can hit in to the Skilled White Magician, banish a monster out of their grave, so we're going to banish that Dark Magician there, and also we're going to set this ring, pass back to our opponent here. they are going to fire a painful choice here, and they're also going to chain MST to that. I'm not really sure why they chain MST to that. If this was an IO that we were just holding, then we could just chain that to the MST and negate both the MST and the painful. So I feel like that's kind of awkward, especially because they won't have 4 cards in hand for Dust Shoot to be live. So not quite sure why they changed it in that way, but it is what it is. And it did clear our Ring, so Ring's very powerful card against this deck. And also that's good protection against the Kaiku. Now, they sent a BLS, a Skill Dark Magician, Double Dimension Fusion, a pre-mat. I could have potentially given them the Black Lesser Soldier Envoy at the beginning, because, you know, we got Kaiku up, so they can't actually bring that out there. But I'm afraid that because they sent that, they've got a way to deal with Kaiku, so I didn't want to risk that. So your Premature Burial is the best option. This can bring out like a Skill Dark Magician from Grave, which is unfortunate. But at least it's a Skill Dark Magician that's very fragile, because if we draw an MST, that can deal with the pre-mat and pop the Skill Dark Magician as well. Any of the other sort of options here does clear with our Kaiku, except for the BLS. But again, you know, I'm playing around if they've got a way to deal with BLS in hand, to deal with a Kaiku in hand, as we are not really equipped to deal with a BLS on field right now. They're going to bring out a Skill Dark Magician attack over our Kaiku there, and then they're going to pass back to us. We draw a Dark Hole here, which is, yeah, not the worst thing in the world. We can clear the Skill Dark at a later date. But right now I wanted to set the Spy deck in a little bit. It plays poorly with Dark Hole, but the only way that they're going to get through these Spies is if they have a way to clear our field. And so then I figure I can fire the Dark Hole on the crackback there. And I don't really feel a risk of dying from an aggressive push on their part. We draw a Monster Reborn, which is pretty decent. Unfortunately, you know, they don't really have a super big monster in Grave to bring back. Nothing we can revive here can actually deal with the Skill Dark there. We're just going to set this Sangan, pass back to them, and see what they do. They've got Graceful Charity, so that's going to be pretty good for them. This might be able to draw them into like Raigeki or something like that. They're going to pitch a Fusion Gate and a Card Destruction there. They're going to set 1 Fire Mirage and then just go into battle, hitting over our set just in case like Morphing Jar. It is a Sangan, so we'll be able to search out a monster here, search out Injection Fairy Lily, and they are going to pass back to us. We draw a Graceful Charity, which is really good on our part. They're going to go for Mirage, so they will draw 3 here, which is quite unfortunate. But we're just going to fire this Graceful Charity and draw 3. Those are some pretty good ones of our own. I think pitching... oh, there was lag here, so, you know, I accidentally drew another because, yeah, there's just a ton of lag there, so it made the replay a little bit janky, but, yeah, so we got Comfy, we got Snatch, we got Mirage Nightmare, and what I'm going to pitch here is going to be, oh, did I forget to discard 2? I think I forgot to discard 2 there. That is, okay, that actually changes the outcome of the game quite a bit. I mean, yeah, the lag was super bad here, so that's why I forgot to do this. But if I had to pitch here, I think it would be the Dark Hole and maybe the Comfy, actually. So maybe I wouldn't have had a good, you know, idea what was in their hand. But I feel like Snatch Steal is good because Snatch Steal, we can deal with their Skill Dark Magician well. We want to pitch Mirage as well because we've already got close to 4 cards in hand. Could potentially pitch the Injection Fairy Lily or the Reborn as well. But yeah, I think Dark Hole and Comfy might have been the pitches there. But yeah, we forgot to do this because of the lag. But yeah, so this replay is kind of scuffed. But I think that either way, we would have been fine here. Like, this just would have... I mean, this wins us the game basically this turn, as opposed to winning us the game next turn. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And so, yeah, this replay is very scuffed, but... yeah, we will just win the game this turn, basically. I mean, not quite win this turn, but, like, effectively win this turn. Because we get in for a ton of damage. So, yeah, this is kind of rough. And we're going to set this time seal as well. Actually, we could have potentially pitched the Snatch deal there, because we did have the read on the MST in the back row, given the Mirage there. So that might have been it probably would have been pitching Snatch and Mirage instead of... Yeah, it would have been pitching Snatch and Mirage, probably, which... Ultimately, we would have had a pretty similar game state. They would have had an MST to deal with the Mirage here. But, yeah, I apologize for how scuffed this replay was. The lag was super bad. They've got Dark Hole here to clear the board. And they're going to think about this a bit. And they're going to pass back to us. So, we draw Raigeki. They've got Mirage to draw 3 more. And we are going to go for a DD Warrior Lady here. Attack in 2 of their life points directly with 1,500. And we're going to go for time seal here. So that way they don't potentially draw into like an MST or something. But, you know, we're going to try and pitch a card from their hand, and they're just going to admit defeat there. Again, apologies for how scuffed that replay was. The lag was, like, really, really bad that game. And, like, yeah, so we just both forgot to discard for Graceful. But I don't think it really would have changed the outcome of that game too much, given how powerful our hand was. But you never know. They would have still had change of heart, because they would have popped their own Mirage with the MST if we had pitched the Snatch Deal and the Mirage. So yeah, it could have definitely been a different sort of game. But I think we still, I don't know, I think we were still in a very good spot there. So unclear exactly how that would have affected things. But they're going to go for a reasoning here. We just call 8 to stop a DMOC play. They're going to bring out a Magical Scientist, and I'm very happy they hit that. We've got many ways to deal with that there. So they're going to think about this a bit. They're going to set one Fire Card Destruction, which is really unfortunate. We wanted our CED live, especially because we had this Witch of the Black Forest in hand. So we could have potentially pulled off the Chaos Yata Lock at some point in this game. Now with the CED in grave, it's not really a likely outcome. But our opponent's just going to pass back to us, and I feel really good about this. We draw Sangan, so we can just bring out that Sangan, try and hit it into the Scientist, and I feel like that's really good. They're just going to think about this a bit. They've got Ring for the Sangan. You never want to be in that situation, but we do get a search off the Sangan here, and we will search out Yata, because I feel like, you know, over the course of a couple turns, we actually can set up the Yata Lock here. We've got, like, Warrior Lady or Spy to deal with the Scientist here, and we got Duo to deprive them of cards in hand. So we're going to fire that Duo. We're going to hit an MST, and they're going to pitch a Decree here as well. We're going to set an MST of our own and a TT pass back to them, and they are going to think about this a bit, and they are going to set another pass back to us. We draw Confiscation, so we can rip the last card out of their hand, which is very nice. And I bring out a DD Warrior Lady here. Now, I attack their set because I'm thinking about the Torrential Tribute, and I'm like, if their set is like a Sangan or a Witch, then the TT is going to be pretty bad for us, because they can bring out a monster, we fire TT, they then, you know, lose the Sangan or Witch, but they get a search off that. In hindsight, I don't think I should have done this. I think I should have just attacked in the Scientist, because they do have a way around TT with the Scientist on field. They can just pay 1,000 for Ryu Senshi before going for a big play. So I think I should have just attacked in the Scientist, left the DD Warrior Lady on field, and if they get the search off like a Sangan or Witch, they get the search off Sangan or Witch. But I think I still come out ahead in that scenario, because, you know, we've got this Yata in hand, we've got the Comfy as well. So yeah, I feel like this was a big misplay on my part. It was a Skill Dark Magician pro set around the TT there, and so we're just going to banish that, so that way they don't have a monster on field that can hit over a DD Warrior Lady anyways. So yeah, we're going to fire a Confiscation here, ripping the last card out of their hand. It was a Dimension Fusion, which honestly, not the best hit on our part, because, you know, we've got this DD Warrior Lady to come back after a Dimension Fusion anyways. So yeah, not the best. But our opponent's going to think about this. I think ultimately we're still in a decent position, because we do have this Gravekeeper Spy here to summon out and hit over the Scientist there. I mean, they've got DMOC engraved, so if they got like Monster Reborn exactly, then they can bring that back and cause a lot of trouble for us. If they don't, you know, we've got MST to deal with Premature Burial, Call, etc. So I feel really good about this. Opponent's going to pay 1,000 for Scientists, bring out Ryu Senshi. And unfortunately for us, they do indeed have Reborn exactly. And I think that honestly is the only draw they could have gotten there that would have won them the game. Actually, yeah, because they don't have any lights in grave. So yeah, I think that Pot of Greed, I guess, or Graceful could have gotten them into something like that as well. But I think that was the only draw that could have like won them the game this turn. So kind of unfortunate for us. They're going to bring back this DMOC and use DMOC to bring back the Reborn. That way they can get another monster on field here as well, getting back to Jinzo. And yeah, that's the end of the game there. So kind of unfortunate. I think I majorly misplayed there. And we could have probably won that game if I just attacked in the Scientist with the DD Warrior Lady. But you know, it is what it is. I'll take that for my unfair win game 1, because I should not have won game 1. And I probably should have won game 2. So it kind of balances out a little bit. I mean, I am going first for game 3, so it does affect things there. But yeah, this replay is very, very scuffed. So apologies again for that. But we draw Call of the Haunted, so that's pretty good. We're going to go for Graceful here, draw 3, pitch the DD Warrior Lady and a Sangan, just to have Chaos set up there. We're going to bring out this Kaiku, set a Ring, set a Call, and pass back to our opponent. I feel really, really good about this setup. If they do go for like a Harpies or something, we've got Call to bring back the Sangan, and then get a search off that. If not, you know, we can potentially go for a Chaos play next turn, so I feel really good about that. Opponent's going to bring out a Skilled White Magician, go for a Pot of Greed here, drawing 2. and they will indeed draw that too. They're going to go for Giant Trunade now, and we're going to chain the ring on the Skilled White, getting rid of that. And also for Chain Link 3, we're going to bring back the Sangan, or at least attempt to. They're going to have to use an MST on the call, but either way, I think we got good value off of our back row there. So they're going to think about this, and they're just going to pass back to us, and I think that is just the end of the game there. We dropped pre-mat, so like we've got a million ways to win the game here. We're just going to bring up Breaker, banish Lighten and Dark from Grave to bring out the BLS, and then attack in with everything. We could have also potentially reborn their Skill White to play around, like if they had like Karibo, I guess. But yeah, this is going to be the end of the game here. And like, yeah, so this was just a blowout game 3, and that can happen if you draw like we did this game. I mean, this is an insane hand to draw, and our opponent was just not able to really do anything against it. But yeah, looks like they didn't really have anything else here to do. But that is going to be the end of the game. And yeah, I mean, again, this replay was very, very scuffed, and unfortunately didn't get to show off the Chaos Yata side of things. We almost got to show off the Yata side of things, like game 2. But yeah, it's kind of rough here. But that's going to do it for this game. I also do have 2 more replays to show for y'all, so luckily they're a lot less scuffed than this one is. So let's dive into those now. Okay, we've got another game here against Colgate, another frequent guest on the channel, and we're going to dive on into it. We do indeed lose the rock, paper, scissors yet again. We've gone 0 for 3 in this video alone. So that's kind of rough, but we do open the CED, so that's always nice. We've also got this TD Warley's Light and the Breaker's Dark in hand, so I feel very good about this. We draw MST here. We're just going to bring out the Breaker. That's going to be fine by them. We're going to attack indirectly. If it's Mirror Force, I'm okay making that trade. We get a Dark Engrave, and we got this Light in hand for next turn. So I feel ultimately fine about this, and I don't think it's like TT or Ring, because they would have fired that when Breaker was summoned. So we're then going to go to main 2, use Breaker to pop the back row. It's Imperial Order, so I'm very happy with that. We're going to set this MST and pass back to them. They're going to go for Graceful here, draw 3, and they're going to think about exactly what to pitch. They're going to pitch a Thunder Dragon. You never want to pitch a Thunder Dragon that hasn't searched out the other Thunder Dragons off Graceful, so always unfortunate when that happens. And they're also going to pitch this Tribe. They're going to set 2, pass back to us, and we draw pre-mat, so that's pretty good. We're going to bring out this DD War Lady. If they have like a TT or a Mirror Force here, we've got the Light and the Dark Engrave for CED, so I feel really good about that. We're going to attack in directly for 3,100 here. And that will all connect. Oh, it won't all connect. They've got a cylinder for the Breakers. So that means that they're likely on like a sort of burn strategy. But I feel like we're in a very, very good spot against this burn strategy. They've got Darkle, that's fine. That's Light and Dark Engrave. They're going to go for a Reborn here, bring back a Tribe Infecting Virus, and that is perfectly okay. They're going to attack in for 1,600. And then main 2, they're just going to pass back to us. We actually can just win the game from this position. We're going to go for MST in the end phase because of that. And they're going to think about that, but they are just going to let the ring die there, not ring their own tribe. I mean, if they'd done that, we would have won either way there. But yeah, we've got a ton of different ways to win here. We're just going to fire Darkle, bring out the Lily, and then go for pre-mat on our Grave. And, you know, that's just going to be the end of the game. If I was choosing to reveal the least amount of information, maybe I should have brought out the CED instead of the pre-mat because, you know, everyone's playing Chaos Monsters, but not everyone's playing pre-mat. But, you know, it is what it is. Either way, I think we were going to win that no matter what. And the pre-mat information isn't quite the most useful information for our opponent there. So they are going to draw here and fire a Thunder Dragon. So they did draw that early enough to actually use its effect here. And they're going to add 2 more Thunder Dragons to hand. They're going to go for Graceful, and that's about as good as it gets. They're going to pitch those 2 Thunder Dragons there. They've got a really good hand there. They're going to set 3, fire Mirage, set another, and pass back to us. We do not have an MST to deal with that Mirage, so, you know, we're just going to let that go through. They draw 2 off that. And we are going to fire this Painful Choice. That's fine by them. So we're going to send the Lights and Darks. We're going to send double Great Period Spy. We're going to send a Sangan as well, just to have it easily accessible in Grave for like a Reborn or a Pre-Mat, etc. And we also send these 2 Lights, so that way we do have Light and Dark fodder in Grave. Our opponent is going to give us a Shining Angel here, and that is fine by us. We can then banish a Light and Dark from Grave to bring out a BLS here, and use priority to banish their set monster. And that's perfectly fine. It's a Witch, so, you know, I'm very happy that we banished that. We're going to bring out a Kaiku here just to try and get Thunder Dragons out of their graveyard. They do have Mirror Force for the Kaiku, which is why I brought the Black Little Soldier in defense. We're just going to set 2 and fire a Mirage of our own to draw 3 next turn, hopefully. They've got MST for their own Mirage. Do they have an MST for ours? It looks like they do not, so we're just going to draw 3 here. And that is, you know, we don't have an MST or anything to deal with this, but I think this is ultimately still fine if we pitch these. They're going to go for Harpies, though, and I feel fine about that. We're going to fire a Time Seal here. And then we do lose the Dark Hole, which is annoying, but I feel like this is still ultimately a pretty good spot to be in. They've got Raigeki for our BLS here. They've got a Yata of their own, so they're trying to Yata lock us, which is kind of unfortunate because we don't get a draw here. At least they don't get a draw as well. They do have Forceful to send back a card from our hand. They're going to send back Call, which makes a lot of sense, as Call can bring back BLS after it's been properly summoned. So that will get shuffled back into the deck. And they're going to go for a Painful as well, sending a Comfy, a Serpent, a Snatch Steel, a Koala, and a Fiber Jar. Honestly, I'm fine giving them the Serpent here. They're going to get that back eventually anyways, and the others are much more powerful. They're just going to pass back to us. Whoopsie. And we don't draw here because of the Yata. And we're going to bring out a Witch, attack in directly for 1100, pass back to them. They're going to set one, pass back to us. We draw another Time Seal, so that's pretty good. We can sort of draw lock them again later. We're going to bring out this Breaker. We're just going to break their back row. It's a Ring of Destruction there. So honestly, I think I probably shouldn't have rung their back row because, you know, Mirror Force is already engraved, so I should have saved it. But it didn't ultimately matter here. It's just like 300 points of damage difference because they probably would have ringed the Breaker anyways. But yeah, we're going to attack into the Serpent. We had the read that it was Serpent because it was either Serpent or Yata, and they probably wouldn't set the Yata. But we're just going to set this Time Seal, pass back to them. They're going to add back the Serpent there. And they're going to set one, pass back to us. We draw again. It's an MST, which is pretty decent. We're going to bring out this Shining Angel. Attack over the set. We have the Strong Read that is Serpent. So we're just fine attacking in with Witch here. And it was indeed the Serpent. So now we're going to attack in with the Shining Angel. Fire a Time Seal to prevent them from drawing here. Set an MST, pass back to them. They are going to not add back the Serpent in standby, but ultimately I don't think it really matters much because they're going for a Yata play here anyways. They're going to attack in to our Witch. We're just going to add a Lily, and that will be the end of the game there. So yeah, I mean, this is what I was mentioning where like Lily is basically like your secondary Yata lock. If we had searched out Yata there, we actually wouldn't have been able to win because they've got Serpent, so Serpent can block our Yata. I mean, we do have Shining Angel to hit over the Serpent every time, but like it's a bit iffy, especially given if they drew another card to deal with that, then it would be kind of rough. So Injection Fairy Lily just ends the game here on its own. But yeah, it was cool to see the Yata Lock done against us, but you know, when you don't have the CD blowing up the entire field, it does show that like oftentimes players have enough cards in hand to actually scrape their way back and win. But I got one more replay to show, and this next replay, you know, this was the last game I was playing. I was like, okay, either I get the Chaos Yata Lock here, or I'm done. Because it's been 4 matches already, and we have not really gotten that close to the Chaos Yata Lock, unfortunately. So this is the last chance to get the Chaos Yata Lock. Let's see if I actually am able to pull it off. Okay, we got a game against Patrick Starr here, who has appeared on the channel in the past. So always a pleasure to have them on. And they're fast on their way to becoming a frequent guest. So we're going to be going second here. And this is a pretty good opener. I mean, we got Painful, we got IO. Like, this is really, really good. But let's see what they're up to here. They're going to set 2, fire a card destruction. That's never a good sign. And it looks like they're probably on like a Scientist FTK because they sent Serpentine Princess and Gillisaurs. So yeah, this might just be over depending on what they had and what they get. They're going to go for Pot of Greed here as well. And this could be really bad. I mean, they've got Graceful as well. This is, oof, this is really bad. They're going to go for Painful here. Send Cannon, Catapult. I just give them, maybe I should have given them the Cannon Soldier, but I give them the Turtle because I want less turtles engraved. But I mean, if I hadn't give them, oh, no, yeah, they had a Reborn, so yeah, this was over anyways, no matter what I gave them, so. But I give them the Turtle, and yeah, they're going to go for Last Will here, bring out the Gillisaurus. We do get a monster on our side of the field as well, but yeah, it's going to be the end of the game because tributing over that Gillisaurus for the Turtle is just it. They had whatever, you know, they could have reborn the Turtle, then brought out Gillisaurus, then yeah. So it wouldn't matter there anyways, but still kind of rough. Now, siding here, I just go for bringing in all the Trap Dust Shoots. I bring out like Torrential Tribute. I bring out like some of the cards that aren't really that good against this style of deck. But I do think that this style of deck is honestly a pretty good chance for us to actually pull off the Chaos Yata Lock because our opponent does not really play much interactive stuff with us because they're mainly focused on their own game plan. So we're going to go for Duo here, and we're going to pitch a Reasoning, and they're going to discard a Monster Recovery. We're going to set 3, pass back to them. We've got this Dust Shoot here for when they draw. And they're going to go into standby, so we're just going to fire this Dust Shoot here. Take a look at what they're working with, and we see that they've got a Catapult Turtle, a Reload, and Double Metamorphosis, and that is kind of rough for them. So we're going to send back the Turtle there. And let's see what they do. They're going to go for reload. Now, we could have potentially saved the IO, but I don't really see a reason not to fire the IO now, given that we know exactly what's in their hand. We know that they can't do anything with it against IO. So we're going to pay the 7 to keep it up. We're going to bring out another spy off our first spy, then bring out a DD Warrior Lady, get in for a ton of damage, almost half their life points. And so I'm feeling really good about this because when the Science FDK deck is down to a lower life point total, then they can't quite actually kill us here. With the combo. So they need to get a bit creative. Our opponent's just going to set 1. We're going to pay 7 for the IO again, because why not? We've got this Chaos Ember Dragon in hand to just close out the game if they do have like Mirror Force or something. I mean, it won't exactly close out the game, but it'll get us pretty darn close. And we're just going to pass back to them. So this is pretty good. I feel, yeah, nothing they could have done there would have gotten them out of that. But that's going to be game 2. So going into game 3, they are going first. So they could potentially just win the game on the first turn like they did in game 1. But hopefully, you know, we'll get a chance to try and pull off our Chaos Yata Lock. But we'll have to see how it actually goes. I mean, we got Chaos Ember Dragon, so that's a very good start here. Our opponents, unfortunately, got a very good start of their own with Graceful Charity. That is rough. They're going to pitch a Legendary Ocean and Monster Recovery. Go for a Reasoning here. And, you know, while they could be playing a Demock in the deck, I feel like I'm more scared of them just getting out a Turtle, summoning a Scientist, and winning the game that way. So I'm just going to call 5. Unfortunately, they hit a Gillosaurus, so they do get a monster on field. If they've got a Turtle in hand and a Last Will as well, then that would be rough for us. But I feel like they don't have a Turtle in hand because they pitched a Legendary Ocean. So I feel like, you know, it was a safe bet that they didn't. But they're going to go for a gamble. They're going to bring out a Cannon Soldier, set 1, and they're going to go for a reload here. So they're going to send those 2 remaining cards back into the deck. And this is very, very risky for us, but luckily it looks like they don't have anything there. So we're just going to fire Harpies to start because, you know, whatever they set must have been important enough that they wanted to keep it around and not get it reloaded into the deck. So I figure we might as well clear it. It is a Last Will, so I'm very glad we did that. We're going to go for a Pot of Greed here as well, draw 2. And unfortunately, we can't get them to a point where they're like at risk of not being able to pull off the combo here. But we can attack over their Cannon Soldier with the DD Warrior Lady, deprive them of a way to get Last Will off, because if they try attacking in with Gillosaurus, then we can just banish it with Warrior Lady if they fired Last Will already. So I feel fine about that. We've got this Time Seal as well to sort of prevent them from drawing, which will disrupt their combo even more. So yeah, they're going to go for Monster Recovery. That is kind of rough. We don't have any way to interact with this, but we're going to like make the thinky face like we might. But yeah, they draw 2, and I don't think there's a way to get to the combo with just 2 cards here. And it looks like they're just going to set 2, pass back to us. We're going to fire a Time Seal here, so that way they won't get a draw next turn. And we're going to bring out this Witch, just try and get aggressive, attacking their set with the Warrior Lady. It's a Reptilian Princess, or no, Serpentine Princess, that's what it is. And we're going to banish that so we can just get in for 1100 here. And pass back to them. They don't get a draw here. They're just going to pass back to us. We draw Graceful Charity, which is really good. We actually could potentially pull off the Chaos Yata Lock, depending on what we draw here. If we draw a Light off the Charity, then we actually do get to pull off the Chaos Yata Lock, because we already have a Witch on field. And that would be a really, really cool way to end the video. So let's see if we can do it. We're going to fire that Graceful Charity, and we do not get a Light. That is quite unfortunate here. Yeah, we're just going to pitch a Snatch Deal and a Spy, unfortunately. Yeah, that won't quite do it, and we don't have a way to clear the Witch here. Yeah, it's just kind of rough. So what we're going to do is bring out the Breaker, pop their back row here. It's just a card destruction, so I'm glad to get rid of that. We're going to attack in for 2,700, and we're going to pass back to them. They're going to draw 1, fire a Reasoning. We're just going to call 5 because a 2K Defender is kind of annoying, and we don't want them to get that on field. And they hit a 4 in Cannon Soldier here. They're going to attack in to our Witch of the Black Forest here. So we will get a search here. We're going to search out Yata-Garasu. Now, we could have potentially just searched out the Shining Angel and, you know, done the Chaos Yata Lock that way, potentially. I mean, actually, there wasn't quite a way to do that. We would have had to go for Battle Phase to get the Shining Angel in grave, and so it wouldn't have quite worked out. But we could have, like, tried to do something like that. Also, if we were playing Thunder Dragons in the deck, we could have pitched a Thunder Dragon here. We searched out off the Witch, and then, you know, gone for the Chaos Lock that way. But yeah, this was, I mean, we've got the Yata Lock online already. I mean, because we can just attack over the Cannon Soldier with the Breaker, summon Yata attack in. So even when we have the potential to do the Chaos Yata Lock in hand, it's just not really as consistent as just going for the Yata Lock like this. So yeah, this is just going to be the end of the game. And yeah, Yata Lock, at least we got the Yata Lock to close it out, but we didn't get to do the Chaos Yata Lock side of things. But yeah, I mean, I hope that these games sort of showed off why the Chaos Yata Lock is not really that good. I mean, you can get them into situations where, like, you know, they do get Yata locked. But actually pulling off the Chaos Yata Lock side of things is very, very difficult to maneuver. And you have to play a couple cards to facilitate it that are a bit more bricky. Like the time seals are, I think, the most consistent way to do it, is you don't have to worry about having the Witch or Singing already on field for that. But those are kind of bricky. Pre-mat is also kind of a bricky card that a lot of people cut because it's killed by MSTs, it's killed by IO, etc. So, you know, I feel like the Chaos Yata Lock is not the best way to do this deck. You can play Yata if you want to, but I feel like any card in Chaos format that really needs other cards to actually reach its full potential is a bit iffy. So, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this strategy, but let me know down in the comments what you think of this strategy. Also, if you enjoy this sort of content, please do leave a like down on the video and also subscribe to the channel. I promise you that most of the gameplay that I feature on the channel is not as scuffed as that game 2. That was a very, very scuffed match. But most of the gameplay I show off is pretty fun. But that's going to do it for this video. Also, if you want to support me directly, I do have a Patreon as well. And if you sign up directly for that to support me, then you will get your name shouted out in this channel. So big shout outs to Porkchop Coon, Brendan Donker, GMYFS, and Rincewind for supporting me directly. It really means a lot to me. And motivates me to make even more videos in the future. But that's going to do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it always. And until next time, I've been Ben from YGO from Zero, and I'm signing off.